we're going to make a start because we've got lots of information to get through. So my name is Wessells. I'm a CRM solution lead, and I work for Intergen, obviously, from the Wellington office. I've got Steve with me, who's going to introduce himself in a minute. And we've got quite a big challenge to get through 45 tips in 45 minutes. I'll probably fly through mine. Steve will probably spend a little bit more time and make sure you understand. But we'll see if we get through all of them. Over to you, Steve.
Yeah, great, thanks. Well, you've all hopefully met me. So I've only got 45 minutes, so I've got to get straight into it because our dry run took 60 minutes. So here we go. We've got our timer going, right. So I'm going to go through showing a number of tips through Outlook. I'm just going to click through the ones I'm going to show you, then I'm going to switch into Outlook and show you them. So I'm going to show you a good feature, group by in Outlook. I'm going to show you how easy it is to add columns in Outlook to remove the need of going into advanced find. Moving columns in Outlook, saving a conditional formatted view, adding just normal reminders without creating activities, creating personalized shortcuts, and I'll touch it when I go through each of these. CRM fields on Outlook activity record to get to fields which are not normally on Outlook, and managing offline sync. And then finally, preview calendar. So switch into my Outlook. If we see any emails come through, sorry, it's just my work email, so hopefully you won't see anything too important. So when I saw the first tip I'm going to show is group by in Outlook. So what this enables me to do is click on any field and right click and just go group by this field. What this does is groups all those records by the record I've grouped it by. So I can click on here and either change the group by or set a different field or sort it, and I can drill down and collapse all the groups so I can see how many count of my records by the group I've actually specified. So it's a really nice way of actually looking at records and working with records and dealing with records. And to remove the group by, just right click and don't group by this field, and it will take me back to my main field. So you can group by on any field, on any view in CRM. Likewise, a lot of the times what you would do with a view is actually, that system view just hasn't got all the columns that I want, and I want to add a particular column to it. So normally, maybe I'd have to go into advanced find, edit columns, add the column. 10 clicks later, I've added the column. In Outlook, I just right-click, add columns, and the only tip here is to actually click on this drop-down and go down to user-defined fields in this form. This then gives me all the fields inside of CRM for which I can add a column for. So I can just add the classification, put it down here, move it up, click OK, and that's going to add that column into my view now. So I now see my classification field in there. Equally, again, moving columns. Again, if I was in the web client and I was trying to move clients, I'd have to go into advanced find, edit columns, move the columns around, but I don't need again to do that in the Outlook. In Outlook, I can just drag and drop, so I can move my category field and just move it and change it around, and just drag and drop, save that as a new view, and it's saved that column change. So very easy to drag and drop columns and move them around and personalize my experience inside of Outlook. I'm going through these quick because I know of our time. The other one is conditional formatting views. So this is, you can see some records shown red here, but what I might want to do is actually say highlight all my records which are of category A and highlight them in a different color. And this is a way of notifying a user of things they need to do. So it could be based on visit dates, so the next visit date or last visit date, and just highlighting records without creating activities. And to do this, again, I just right click on the columns and go view settings. And then I'll go to a feature of Outlook, which is conditional formatting. I just go add to add a new rule and give it a new rule. So category A, I can change the font and color, which is going to show. So I'm going to change this to a nice little lime green. Click OK. And then I go define my condition. And I go advanced. And again, just like I did before, I go to user-defined fields. It's going to really scare you because it's going to show every single field available on this record. But I'm just going to go to category, where is it? Down here. And I'm going to say contains A. Add to the list, click OK, click OK, click OK. And we see they're all highlighted green now. Now, if I want to make that stick so the next time I go into CRM, that conditional formatting is held, I just need to save this as a new view. So I just need to go View and Save As. And if I save this as a new view, it's going to remember that conditional formatting the next time I open up Outlook. So great feature if I want to highlight opportunities over a certain value, or highlight different stages of my opportunities, or next visit dates, etc. The other useful feature of Outlook is the ability to be able to create follow-ups. A lot of time in CRM you say create lots of activities to create follow-ups. You don't necessarily need to do that using Outlook. I can just use a standard snooze window, right-click on a record and go follow-up, and I can just use how I make follow-ups on my emails or my contacts or my tasks. I can apply directly to any record inside of CRM. So I can just go add reminder, follow-up, click OK, and that's going to pop up in a minute, probably a snooze window saying follow up on that record, and I could go straight to that record and action it without actually creating an activity. So a really nice little feature there if I'm just working and want to follow up on something. The next one is, does anyone use personalized shortcuts in Outlook? Does anyone know that feature in Outlook? No? Good. So personalized shortcuts allows me to create my own personalized folder structure for Outlook with the things that I want to work on, which I work on regularly. So I could define in this personalized shortcuts that I often want to look at my sales, my accounts, my contacts, and I might also want to add opportunities in my inbox into here. So without me having to navigate through all the file structure of CRM, I can just go right-click, new shortcut. It gives me then a list of all my folders I've got in Outlook, and I go down here and say, my demo CRM, sales, opportunities, click OK, and then it adds opportunities on here. Now I can just work with opportunities and click on opportunities. So I could have one that says inbox, contacts, accounts, opportunities, leads, activities. And a very quick and easy way for me to get to those records without me having to do any other navigation through the folder structure. So, nice little feature, thank you. The other one which I like to show often is the fact that maybe I'm an account manager or a salesperson and I'm creating appointments inside of Outlook, and often, or a good process for a sales account manager would record what are my objectives of this particular appointment and what are the end outcomes of this particular appointment. And those fields don't exist in Outlook as standard fields. So but they might exist inside of CRM. So from an account manager, you don't want to have to drive them into CRM to actually add that detail. You want to be able to give it to them inside of Outlook. So you can do that very easily. So if I click into Calendar, open up my Dynamics Day record, my appointment, and I can click here which says CRM Fields. It might just take a couple of seconds to load. And what this does, this actually goes to CRM and says, what are all the additional fields on my appointment or my email or my task or my contact, which don't normally exist in Outlook, but do in CRM, and actually display them in the form. So I now can come in here and put the planning status in progress, look at opportunities, whatever it might be. And this information is being stored back in CRM, but from a user perspective, I'm just interacting with the appointment inside of Outlook without actually going into CRM, other than clicking CRM fields. Go back to appointment, save and close, and done. I've updated the information in the appointment in Outlook, but it's actually updated CRM. So anyone looking at that appointment in CRM is going to see that that person set their objectives and what were the outcomes of that appointment. And I can do that on my emails, I could do that on tasks, likewise. The next one is managing offline sync. So does anyone use here Outlook in an offline mode? Few people. Do you know you can manage your offline synchronization settings? So define what actually gets synchronized down to your client. So this will obviously improve performance and what actually is being syncing. So to get to that, I just go File, down into CRM, and in the Go Offline area, I just go offline filters. This actually just brings up my offline filters which defined from a system perspective. I now can go through these and look at the records or create a new filter to define what levels of accounts do I want to bring down. Only accounts where I've got a visit coming up in the next week. So just limit the offline data to just the things I need to see for that particular time, and I can control at any level what those filters are. And it's just using Advanced Find to create those filters. Very simple. And I can look at existing ones and update or disable standard out-of-the-box ones if I don't want those to apply. The other feature which I tend to use in my Outlook calendar is actually what I've got here, which is just a preview window. I don't know how many people know they can preview their calendar. Does anyone know you can preview your calendar in Outlook? Yeah. So often when you go into your Outlook, you've got your reading panel off, which is standard, so you're just looking at that. And to see if that's related to CRM, I'd have to double-click and open it to get to the CRM record. But if I just go in here and turn the reading panel on and put it to the right, immediately, if this is tracked in CRM, I can look at the details and go straight to the regarding records, straight from within a preview window without actually having to open up the appointment. Again, it's just saving time, it's saving clicks, really, and that's all the benefits of that are. That's my first 9 done. Ooh. Over to you, Rex, for yours.
Cool. So I'm going to show you a couple of tips within CRM. So first one is the quick set dates. I'll explain that a bit. And Advanced Find, I'll show you 1 or 2 tips in Advanced Find with personal options, as well as Fetch XML. So let's jump into the right one. So filling in dates within CRM, usually people use the date picker to enter the dates, but there is actually quite an easy way when you just type in the date. CRM will actually default the year for you. So if you enter a date, you can just say it's the 15th of January and tab, and it will default to the current year for you. You can also type in the date a little bit more explicit, like the 5th of December, and it will convert it for you as well. Obviously, you can type in the year if the year is different from the current year. Cool. Next up is Advanced Find. So I use Advanced Find quite a lot. But close that. I did. Sorry.
Did you close?
Yes, I did.
No, open that one.
Is it this one?
I'll log in for you again.
Sorry.
You've just now you're costing us time, Rex.
Yeah. No, I blew it.
Rex.
I was supposed to be the fast one as well.
I know.
Oh no.
It's long as well.
Okay, let's try and get through this quickly. So Advanced Find, how many of you use Advanced Find? Cool, so Advanced Find is great for finding all your records, doing complex searches, finding records with queries across related entities and so forth. But usually when you look at your query, you need to click on the details view to see the details and to be able to edit the Advanced Find view further if you need to make changes to it. But if you go into your personal options by clicking on any of the file menus in CRM and go to options, there is actually an option here that says Advanced Find Mode Default Startup View. So I've got this on detailed. By default, it's on simple. So when it's on detailed, it just saves you that one click of having to click on detailed, and it just comes up in that detailed mode automatically. While we're on personal options, I just want to highlight some of the other personal options that you can set. So first up, you've got your default pane. So when you open up CRM, it always goes to your dashboard. But if you're a salesperson and you work with your opportunities, you can obviously change that to go straight to your sales section or...
Oh, not today.
How do you snooze that, Steve?
Oh, it will just disappear.
Disappear.
Windows 8, it will just slide off in a minute, I hope.
Okay, so you can set your start page to something like sales and opportunities.
Maybe I should just go home.
Yeah.
Not 4 yet.
Yeah, no, true.
Another thing in CRM that you might have noticed is that little getting started pane that comes up above the views. There is a system setting to turn that off across the whole system, but if your system administrator hasn't done that and that little bar annoys you, you can actually switch that off in your own personal settings by using this checkbox. Records per page is obviously a great one. If you're working with large data sets or need to manipulate large sets of data and you find yourself using the paging button at the bottom the whole time, you can set your personal options to show up to 250 records instead of the default 50. So there's a bunch more personal settings and options here that you can go through. I'm not going to go through all of those. I think that these are the ones that I find more useful. Cool. Staying on Advanced Find, if you do any report authoring, especially for CRM Online, you would probably know that you need to use the CRM querying language, which is called Fetch XML. Fetch XML is basically a bunch of XML statements that you need to write to query the data, which can become quite complex. A great thing about Advanced Find is you can build up a query in this visual form, and you can simply click this Download Fetch XML button, which will then generate and open up that Fetch XML query for you. So you don't have to go and write that XML. Obviously, you can modify it for your reports and so forth, but at least you get a good start. Right, just quickly jumping back to the slides. Next one I've got is sending links to records and views. And that's that one. So sending links, just close this Advanced Find. Go to the, is it this one? Yep. Okay, so if you're working with a record, what we find a lot of times, especially in testing, is people find a bug or something like that, and then they try and explain to us where it is. The easiest way to get another person to see what you're seeing is to send them a link to that record or a link to that view. So if you need to collaborate on records or anything like that, you can simply select the record, not quite open it, or you can open it as well. But on the toolbar, you'll find two options. There's copy a link, which will just copy it to your clipboard, or email a link, which would create an email and paste the link in the email for you, and you can just send it to a person. So you've got two choices here. You can have selected items. You can actually select multiple records, and it will create multiple links for you. Or you can also send a link to the current view. Obviously, if you're on a personal view, you need to make sure that that view is shared with the other person as well so that they can see it. Cool. Over to you, Steve.
Yep.
Right, I'm going to close that.
Okay, so 14, how we're doing, 27 minutes to go. We're going good. So what I want to show you is a few tips around marketing and campaigns. And one of the ones which always comes up to me and asks for me is, I use an external system, I generate some a marketing, or I generate a list out of that external system. They're all existing contacts, they're all in my CRM. How can I create a marketing list inside of CRM with that external list? Because if I import them, it's just going to create new fields. It doesn't update anything. So this requires a little bit of configuration of creating one additional entity as sort of a linking entity, but it's a really great feature for bringing in contacts and creating a marketing list, especially if you're using a data warehouse. So I'll show you that one. Then I'll show you how you can create a marketing list straight from an imported list. And then quite a cool little feature of using campaign responses and QR codes straight out of the box. And managing costs. So switch back into CRM. So we're going to, this is mainly CRM 2011. We'll switch to CRM 2013 a little bit later. So when I want to do this is I need to create one simple entity in the system to be able to manage bringing in records. And what I call this is external lists. So external lists, and I've brought in mine, so I'd have to go through the full import. All this external list record is doing is when I'm going to import in a record and create an external list, which links the contact to this name, and then I can do an advanced find and say, give me all those contacts which are associated to this list and create a marketing list from it. So I'm using import to create a record, so therefore I can use it to create a marketing list from. So all this record has, all my simple CSV file needs is a name and the contact. That contact could be a unique identifier, their email address, whatever's unique for that particular contact. So if we look at my simple file, It's already open because I'm using it for something else. All this file has is basically just the name, the email address, and the external list. I might have to just close down my Word document. I'll have to open that in a minute. So if I bring this up, it's just, oh no, not that one. This one. All it's got on it is just simply an email address, which is my unique identifier for that contact, and the external list name, which is Dynamics New Zealand. And then all I do is in CRM, once I've created that list of uniqueness and the list, is go into my CRM, run an import, select that file, click OK, click Next, Next. I already have a predefined, I think that should work, predefined data map for it, which just maps basically the contact's email address to that list, and then I'll just go submit. And what that will do is bring in these 3 records. And once I've got these 3 records in, all I need to do then is run an advanced find to say, give me a list of all the contacts which are associated to this external list. So we can see here, if I just change this to contacts, so what I'll do is create a marketing list of contacts, and just change it to my predefined view. And all this view is saying is, give me back all those contacts which are associated to a record external list which contains Dynamics Day Tip New Zealand, go results. That brings back my 3 imported records. I'll just highlight them, go add to marketing list. And that's a very simple way of actually bringing an external list and creating a marketing list from it of existing contacts. Does everyone follow that? If they don't, then look at nakedcrm.com, which is my blog site, and I've got that detailed out quite well. It's a little tip, little push there.
Can we count that as an extra tip?
Yeah. The next tip I want to show is that if you've actually imported a set of records, then it's very easy off an import to actually create a marketing list from it. So if I just look at my leads import file and my import and go to leads fully imported, what this allows me to do is just highlight all those records that I've imported and go straight add to marketing list. So it's a very quick way. If I've imported an external list of 1,000 leads straight into my system, I can quickly add them to a marketing list and start marketing to those people without having to do any advanced find or starting from marketing list. I just go add to marketing list, and I can just select a marketing list or create a new marketing list straight from here. So a very quick and easy feature for that. Right, the next one is a little bit of a one that I'm just going to open up a mail merge document. And what this is doing is actually, you've got an event, you're running an event, and you've got people turning up to the event, you might have the name cards there, but you want to record if that person attended or not. So you either do some sort of tick-in effect or not, or what you could do is actually use mail merge in CRM to generate a QR code to the URL of that record. So if you're at the event, someone could scan that QR code straight to that campaign response record and update attended, or use a barcode scanner. And it's an out-of-the-box feature with mail merge. All you need is a URL field, which you can self-generate in CRM. So if I just go to mailings and undo the preview, there's this option here which says insert barcode field in mail merge, and if you go here and select a field, you've got the option to choose a QR code. So all I've done is used a workflow to generate a dynamic record URL for my campaign response. So every time I create a campaign response, it creates a URL to it. I export that out to a mail merge for printing out my labels, and I use this little nifty feature just to create a QR code. And what that allows me to do is a nice big QR code which Rex can scan, and update, and that will update my CRM record to say attended. So why is he scanning that? So I can just go preview and look, I can flick through and you see the QR code changing. And if I go back into CRM while Rex is, didn't I click that, did I? If I go to campaigns,
Ready when you are?
Yeah. Just bring the campaign. So if I go to campaigns and go to campaign responses and scroll across, you can see these are all registered. Have you done it, Rex?
I'm saving now. Should be done.
refresh it, and there we go, one said attended. So using that QR code is very quick and just immediately flag that the person's attended. So, you know, it's a little thing, you may or may not use it, but it's a nice little feature of Mail Merge. Right. So the next one is creating costs. So in CRM, in the campaign record, you've got this area which is called financials and costs. It's not meant to be an ERP system. It's just meant to record, these are the costs associated to my campaign. And you can add in, obviously, your budget and your estimated revenue, but you can also create campaign activities, record the costs. So it might be catering cost, or it might be planning costs. And to add a cost into the campaign, you just go campaign activities. You go add new campaign activity, whatever other, maybe call this catering. Scroll down and put an actual cost in here, $1,000, save and close. And that's creating a cost now that if I just refresh, we'll see now that my campaign costs have updated. So it's an easy way of recording the campaign costs. And once you record them in the system, you can start using your campaign then to start managing return on investment based on the opportunities that it created and all of those sort of features. Yeah, of course, yeah. So over to Rex.
Cool. So I've got two dialogue tips to show you. One is copying a record using a dialogue, and the other one is filtering a list in a dialogue. So to do that, sometimes when you're capturing data, you might get a situation where you need to capture multiple records, but they're very similar. For instance, if you're doing a family membership and you have to capture a record for each person in the family, so all their details would be the same except maybe their name, hopefully their name. So what we did is we just created a simple dialogue that would help you copy that contact. So you select the dialogue, you run it. It will come up and ask you what the name is, because that's one of the things that would change. You've also got the opportunity to change the last name if that is different, but in most cases it might be the same. So if I just put in Mary over here and click Next, this dialog would then create a new contact with the name Mary and copy all of the other contacts' details across. And you can see in the background we've done it a couple of times already. So once it's done, if I refresh my view, we'll see another record with all the same details in there. Did I miss it?
Mary. Oh.
It's in there somewhere. Okay. The next one, staying with dialogues, is you can filter lookups, as you might know in CRM, so that it only shows records from a related entity. Well, when you do it in a dialogue, you get some extra options. So what we've got here is a dialogue that you run on an account, and with a lookup that would filter contacts based on the contacts associated to that record. Now, instead of just filtering the lookup, in a dialogue, you can also display that filter as a list in different ways. So over here, we've got a pick list, basically, where you can select one of those related contacts. So instead of having to go through that whole dialogue lookup scenario, you can just quickly get a list here, select one, and move on in your dialogue.
So it's a great scenario there. You might be creating a case, and you might use a dialogue to go through, create that case, and one of the questions, who's the customer, who's the contact involved, and only show those contacts, and actually take you through sort of a setup process for creating the record, and it can filter based on what you're selecting.
Next couple of tips is all about charts. So adding a column from a related record into a chart, summing up a list using charts, and yeah, so let's go and look at those two. So you might know that when you create a chart in CRM, let's close this. if I go and create a new chart, the fields that you've got available for selection is basically limited to the list of fields on your entity. And it doesn't have that related section at the bottom like it does in Advanced Find. But the good thing is it does have the fields from the current view at the top. So if you create a personal view or if you have a system view that shows related records, which one is it? Level 1?
Yeah.
So for instance here we've got a view that shows my opportunities but also shows the standard industry code on the associated account. Once I select that and I go to new chart, I now have the option to select that classification as a field in my chart. And this would allow me to group my opportunities by the industry code that's actually associated to the account that's associated to the opportunity. So it's quite far removed. So if I just select a field over here, you'll see I get my opportunities grouped by that field. And while we're on charts, if you select a numerical field, for instance, estimated revenue, you also get some extra options at the, in the next drop-down. So you can do things like show the average revenue across those industry codes, or show the maximum or minimum, or the regular one that would probably be mostly used is summing up a total across another field. Onto dashboards. I think I've got a couple on dashboards. So we've got an auto refresh, a fancy dashboard, and yeah, so let's go and look at those two. I'll just jump back into my dashboard section in the CRM. So the first one we've got is an auto refresh dashboard. So the requirement here was from a manager that just wants to look at his dashboard and refresh it and see the work being used. There we go. The system being used and the records being updated. But every time he leaned back, he had to lean forward and press F5 again. So we obviously fixed that by creating a little widget that we add to our dashboard to refresh it automatically. So to do that, we just added a web resource as one of the options on the chart. And this just contains some scripting and a parameter, so I can set it to refresh, for instance, every 5 seconds. Save and close that. And hopefully, where did it go? Save and close. Hopefully, within 5 seconds, it should refresh itself. Yeah, it reloads and blink it and you miss it. There we go. It just refreshed itself. And it will keep on refreshing itself every 5 seconds now. There we go.
Great for customer service environment where you want a refreshing dashboard.
So obviously, I'm doing 5 seconds for a demo, but a minute or something might be more appropriate. The other dashboard that I want to show is a visual workflow. So the scenario here is, that's not the right one. Let me just select that again. I think the refreshing is messing around with me. So the scenario here is that we've got a call center and they've got a specific workflow, and this dashboard will basically allow the users to see that workflow from a nice overview. But the other thing that we've also enabled on it is we've created some shortcuts on here. So all the yellow blocks are basically shortcuts. So if you click on, for instance, incoming call, it would pop up a new phone call record for you ready to fill in. And it's also pre-populated with some information, whichever information we want to specify in there. There's also, you could do things like a link to the knowledge base area. So you can jump straight into the knowledge base area and do a search on any articles to find related articles. So that's just a nice way of using workflows. Okay, next one up is cool charts. So to demo that, I'm just going to jump into CRM 2013. So that's where we created some of these.
Counts.
going to jump into the accounts area. Basically, as you know, when you create new charts, you've got some standard options. So, for instance, you've got your bar graphs, your line graphs, pie charts, and the standard funnel. But you can also very easily export your chart, which will give you a simple XML file representation of the chart. You can edit that XML and then import it again. It sounds daunting, but it's really not too complicated. And if you do that, you can change a couple of things that you can change is, for instance, the colors. So if you've got a funnel and you want specific colors in there, you can set up the colors for that. Or you can actually change the chart type as well. There's a couple of chart types that you can't get to through the UI. For instance, the donut chart, which is potentially aesthetically more pleasing chart than the pie chart because it's got a hole in it. And then there's also some charts that's really weird and unpronounceable, like this one.
I got carried away creating some charts.
Yeah, definitely. But a very cool one is the radar chart. I'm sure you've seen charts like these before. They're quite cool to represent your data graphically. So you can just modify the chart type in that XML, upload it again, and voila, it's changed. Cool. Next one is so Mobile Express. Basically, if you've got CRM, you've also got a mobile interface. So if you browse to your CRM system using a mobile device, then it will give you a mobile interface. And you can actually access that mobile interface from your PC as well by simply browsing to your CRM system /M, M for mobile. So what I'm showing you here is the 2013 mobile interface, but 2011's got one as well. So this is standard out of the box, and you can configure this mobile client just like you configure the normal form. So you can specify which entities are visible in the mobile client, as well as if you go into a record, you can specify which fields gets shown. And this is also updatable, so you can edit it. Cool. Next tip that I want to show is some free resources. So you're aware that CRM's got a great marketplace where you can go and buy add-ons for CRM. Is it this one? Hold on, I've lost my window. Yeah, this one. But there are also free add-ons. Obviously, with free add-ons, you've got to watch out because you get what you pay for in most cases, and also there's no guarantee whether it's going to work when CRM gets upgraded and things like that. But in some cases, there are actually quite cool free add-ons. So we found two that I want to show you here. One of them, they're both developed by a partner called Sonoma. One of them is inline editable grid. So when you're on a view and you click on this button, it will actually show up that view in a grid, pretty much just like the view, but with the difference that you can actually go and edit these fields. And it knows about CRM fields. So for instance, it's got the lookups, it's got date fields, it's got your drop-downs, all read out of the metadata of CRM. So you can just simply edit all these records and save them all at the same time.
And our salespeople at Intune absolutely love that add-on.
Yeah.
And it's been upgraded to 2013 as well.
Oh, excellent. Yeah. Cool. That was one of the questions I had earlier. Another add-on from the same partner is the universal search. So this is actually quite cool as well. You can define which entities this search across, and when it's loaded, you can actually further go down and select the exact entities that you do want to search. And you simply enter your search term like Stephen. And when we search, we can see there's a couple of cases, there's a couple of contacts that's either related or got Stephen in the name, and there's a lead as well. So a quick way to find data across your whole system. And from here, obviously, you can open up the records and drill into it.
So those downloads, if you just go to sonomo.com, you can just straight away download those. It's quite a trusted partner, very well respected in the US, and they've put out an announcement they're upgrading those to CRM 2013. They're available now for 2013 as well. It's just a solution import. Yep.
Cool. The next tip I've got is around click dimensions. I think quite a couple of you in the audience probably use click dimensions. So click dimensions gives you the ability to create a form that's published on the web where your customers can go and enter some details, and that details will get sucked into CRM. But it also gives you the ability to add custom fields to that form. And the nice thing about that is you can capture some ad hoc data for which you might not have a field in CRM. And I'll show you how that gets pulled through into CRM. So for instance, we've got this form set up, and we've got a custom field for golf handicap. So when I submit this information, that would then get pulled into CRM. Oh, that's the wrong one. And if I just go into marketing, Click Dimensions creates another entity called posted fields. And in my posted fields, I've got a view here that just filters all the golf handicap fields that was entered. And I can immediately see it's associated to all these leads, and these are the values that they've entered.
So that's a really great way of just capturing that information. It's stored against the record, the contact, or the lead record, so you can use it in the future as well.
Okay, next step is all around auditing. So I just want to show you some of the audit features within CRM. So as you might know, CRM 2011 and 2013 has got out-of-the-box auditing, and you can even audit things like user access. So not necessarily when they change things, but just when they access the system. So that's an option in there. And then obviously you can drill down and specify exactly which entities and which fields on those entities get audited. And as you might know, audits usually generate a lot of data because every time somebody does something, there's another record being created. So CRM also gives you an audit log management section over here, and it will basically create logs that split in yearly quarters. And so you can go and select some of these logs and go and delete them if you no longer require them, and that will free up a lot of the space used. Cool. Over to you, Steve.
Thank you. So Rex showed Visio ClickMap, some cool charts, Mobile Express, some free resources, ad hoc data, and turning on auditing. And now I'm going to switch in and we're going to show a little bit some tips on 2013. The first one, which obviously touch access. I'll go for adding I'll come back to what I'm going to show you, but touch access first. So obviously 2011, so it's touch, so the bigger buttons means my finger can touch and click and work and open up these records. Very easy using a touch screen, very easy to get back and navigate around, so it's great for touch. But equally what I can also see is I see my little picture up at the top. I can change that picture very easily, so personalize it again. And in here you see my user record. I can click on my image and change my image. So often I'm known as a bit of Fozzie Bear, Fozzie. So I can change my image and update CRM. So when I close down from here, hopefully I haven't closed everything, refresh this in a minute, we'll see my image update in a second on there. There we go, bit of Fozzie Bear. And so it's very easy to add images, and I can add images anywhere in the system, so I can add images under accounts. So I can give my accounts different images as well, so I can put logos in or my face again. I like my face everywhere. The next tip I want to show in 2013, which you could do sort of in 2011, is actually recently viewed records. So it's very handy if I'm coming here and I've worked with a set number of accounts, it's going to show me all the recently viewed records in there, and I can quickly and easily get to any of those recently viewed records just straight from the navigation. So back to there, click through and change it and just work through my different records that I'm looking at. How are we doing? Oh God, we're nearly out of time, Rex. Quick create forms. We might have to skip a few of these.
Yeah.
Quick create forms, done. You can have quick view cards. So this area here around primary contacts, email, customer details, those are quick view cards showing you information from other related records. Leads. So the other bit of logic is business PBL, portable business logic layer, making a field required or showing a field. So if I come in here and change my lead source and make that lead, actually I'll do it on this one up here, lead source and make that other, then we can see that the other field here comes required. If I change that to something else, word of mouth, it disappears. That's portable business logic.
So that you used to have to write JavaScript for that. Now you've got a nice UI to configure that.
If I go to opportunities, we get this whole concept of business processes. We're running over time. Do we want to switch to any key cool ones?
I think we'll skip the...
So you can switch charts. So simply hitting on here, switch process allows you to switch the process. Another cool thing in CRM, if you hover over the field, it gives you the description field. So you're hovering over here, gives you a bit of a help file. Now it shows you the description. If you click on a phone call, if I bring up Higgins, hopefully I've got a phone number on here.
now.
Yeah. If I open up a phone call and click back, what it's actually done is opened up the phone call record automatically, so I can start recording my phone call activities after clicking on a phone call.
Yep. I think I'm going to...
I think
I'm going to skip the mobile ones.
We'll
just
skip
go
the
to
mobile.
the last one.
Okay.
So the last two tips that I want to show you is related to dashboards again. And that's in CRM 2011.
Okay, sorry, Rex. Switch you over.
Cool. So I've got, actually the first one is a plugin that configures the CRM security to make the system read-only, for instance, during deployments. And that basically just overrides the security check in CRM using a plugin that just returns read-only whenever there's a request for security. So we've got a little solution that you can just add, and it's got a nice configuration page where you can simply enable or disable access to the system while you're doing a deployment. And last one is another dashboard that I created. So I love integrating CRM. The project that Chris mentioned this morning, where we get 2,000 leads that we synchronize between CRM online and another dialing system, I was involved in that project. But usually for Dynamics Day, I like to integrate CRM with something quirky. And to that end, I've actually bought myself a 3D printer earlier this year. And so I wanted to integrate that with CRM. So what I've got here is a dashboard with a funnel chart and a bar chart. And I can actually select one of them and generate a 3D model. So this would basically get the CRM data, generate that 3D model of that chart, and give it to me in a format that's understandable by 3D printers. And unfortunately, I couldn't bring my printer, but I did print out some charts to show you. So there's my Rastafarian sales funnel, and there's my bar graph chart. So imagine pitching up to a sales meeting, showing your manager that. So I'll have these in the expo area if anybody wants to have a closer look. Cool, and I think that's us.
That's it. So we skipped a couple of, we did 41 out of 45, so there we go.
Yeah, one question. What about the stuff that is so obviously not printers, which is why you're using that browser and not Internet Explorer?
Just to show you the cross-browser functionality of CRM that works in...
I suppose the Chrome and IE10 are probably the quickest browsers out there. Chrome's probably a little bit quicker, so we use Chrome. Honest. That's what we are. Yeah. Okay, thank you, everyone. It's pretty much straight on to the next session, I believe.